Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with number 6 in our series of interesting overtures. I have to confess, I've had such a good time doing this series. I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out or get it started, because I really do want to talk about shorter pieces. I just did the video on Shostakovich's 10th Symphony, which is like 50 minutes long. It's longer than Shostakovich's 10th Symphony. And one of you wrote, "Oh, finally, you're getting back to the meaty, juicy stuff." And I appreciate that. I really do. I'm grateful that, you have the confidence in me to sit there and listen to something that's that long. And I like doing that. I like sort of taking the bigger pieces apart and discussing them as well. But there's also so much superb small music, shorter music, things that we need to talk about. I've talked about all those piano and violin pieces that will never be heard in concert because they're too short. They're not concerto length. And there's so many wonderful little overtures. And it's such a great way, I have to say, to get to know less familiar composers. And sometimes the byways of more familiar composers, but especially less familiar composers, because, we don't always have time to listen to a whole symphony. You don't want to make that kind of investment of time. You want to get a sense of what the music sounds like, a sense of what the composer's about, and then you can go off and listen to the larger works on your own. Not everybody has tons and tons of time. So I really like this series. So please bear with me if I do a bunch of them. I hope you don't mind, because I noticed the last one I did, if it's not a famous composer, nobody looks. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Please, folks, watch these things. There's all kinds of wonderful music out there. And just because it doesn't say Mahler, that doesn't mean it isn't worth listening to. Of course, this doesn't say Mahler, so all the people I'm trying to talk to right now are not going to be watching, and all you guys are. So thank you, and we'll just see where it goes from there. In this case, we are talking about a composer I've already done one video on previously. And the other reason I really love this series is because it does give me a chance, as I said before, to repeat some names, to get the name out there again, composers who are worthy and deserve the recognition. And this composer is Laszlo Lajtha, Hungarian composer, fabulous Hungarian composer. People don't know his music. I already did a talk on his work for strings and percussion called Le Soli, which is a symphony actually, with solo string parts integrated on BMC records, that is from the Budapest Music Center. And I have to say, I got a really great reaction to that talk. A lot of you went out and heard the piece and loved it as much as I do. He was a fantastic composer, and he wrote 9 symphonies. Well, actually 10, because Le Soli counts as one of them. But this is his overture to the ballet Lysistrata, the play by Aristophanes. And if you know your Aristophanes comedies, that's the one where the women of Athens refuse to have sex with their men until they end the Peloponnesian Wars. It's a very amusing ballet on a very, very timely and interesting plot. You kind of wonder, why they didn't think of that earlier. But anyway, it's a terrific little ballet that Lajtha wrote on that topic, and it has a lovely, lovely overture. And it's part of a traditional type of overture. Never mind. It's a traditional type of overture. That is the comedy overture, number 1, and number 2, the comedy overture in perpetual motion. And we know those. You know it. You know it from The Marriage of Figaro, more or less. You know it from The Bartered Bride, right? You know it from Ruslan and Lyudmila. It's that kind of overture. It sets up a momentum, a hustle and bustle, and it just goes cranking along for 4 minutes. So we can hear the whole thing. It's on Naxos or Marco Polo, one or the other. This is the older issue on Marco Polo. Now, Lajtha's style was heavily French-oriented. That is, it is exquisitely precise, marvelously orchestrated, diaphanous sounding, richly colored with lots of harp, and he uses all kinds of percussion bumping around underneath the texture. And he always writes a little footnote in his scores, because we've got a bunch of them, that says, just because I'm using a lot of percussion, that doesn't mean I want crudeness or harshness. Never, ever, ever, ever. So you know he's very French. And the tempo marking for this particular overture is prestissimo. It goes like the wind. Yeah, the whole thing. So this is Lysistrata by Lajtha, and it's performed by the Petz Symphony Orchestra under Nicolas Pasquet. This is a great series. All these symphonies on Naxos, you should hear them. If you didn't already, after hearing Les Soli, you should have heard this stuff. So here's an opportunity. So we have the overture to the ballet, Lysistrata. that cool? I mean, isn't that just a wonderful piece? It just so happens that this particular disc comes with Symphonies 5 and 6 as well, which you should also listen to. And in fact, because I have my captive audience, you cannot turn off it's like this beginning of Outer Limits. I control your listening thing, your computer. I can make it wobble. I can make it do this. I can make it do that. And I can play more music. And I want you to hear a bit of the slow movement of Symphony No. 6, only because it is one of the most fascinating, haunting, weird, mesmerizing pieces of music you will ever wrap your ears around. I guarantee it. It's marked très calme. He used French for his, tempo and movement designations and titles and things. And wow, this is like nothing you've ever heard before, but it's entirely him. This is who he was. This is his style. And there's nothing else like it in the repertoire. So I just want to play the opening minute or two of the slow movement of Symphony No. 6, just because I've got it here on the same disc as the overture to Lysistrata, and I just can't pass up the opportunity to share it with you. So here it is. Doesn't that send a shiver down your spine? It's amazing, absolutely amazing. A glorious piece of music, a fabulous symphony, the whole symphony. And it deserves to be played every 5 minutes in real life, and you'll never hear it ever in an actual concert unless you form your own orchestra specifically to play it, which, not such a bad idea if you've got the time. So do listen to your Lajtha. He is a wonderful, wonderful composer. I mean, I'm so happy to be able to present some of his shorter pieces to you, and also this amazing excerpt from Symphony No. 6. Again, it's on Naxos/Marco Polo, and it's glorious. Absolutely glorious. So keep on listening, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.